Hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? It's me, Mike Lopez, once again here at our little basement IncrediChat studios here in the Hudson Valley of New York. Tonight we got a really good guest, but before we get started with that, I just wanted to remind everybody, you probably just saw me over on Instagram. Make sure that you're following and liking all of us over there at IncrediCon HV on Instagram. Check us out on IncrediCon HV on YouTube, and of course here on the Facebook page as well. We have a contest going on. Once we hit the 1,000 mark over there on Instagram, we've got a cool autographed photo and a $25 gift certificate to Alternaverse. Hey, Surgeon, good to see you already tonight. We got people popping in. But yeah. I want to welcome to our show tonight a great guest. Folks, if you love New York Comic Con, if you love San Diego Comic Con, this is the guy that probably runs the busiest and the craziest party at the whole event. Joe Ryan, how you doing, buddy? Please welcome to the show tonight. Again, like you guys know this guy if you've been to any of these cons, C2E2, right? All the big shows. Welcome, Mike D'Alessio.
Hey.
Hello, welcome, Mike. Did I say your name right? D'Alessio, right?
D'Alessio, you said it the right way. So
yeah,
thank you. Nice to be here.
And it's great to have you. And like you heard, I said this to you in one of the comments thing too. What's that? Yeah.
Just mentioned that you're doing a contest, and I part own a company that does the Marvel licensed jewelry and Neopets licensed jewelry and Crunchyroll licensed jewelry. How about I give you a piece of jewelry to give away as your contest as well? It's called whatsyourpassion.com.
Ooh, listen, that would be fantastic if you'd like to.
I'll send you a piece of jewelry from Marvel that you can give away as part of your contest. Be worth over $150.
Oh, guys, so you hear that? Spread the word. Spread the word. Get us those likes and follows. And we have some people. Elizabeth is saying, we love you, Mike. And I'm excited. Elizabeth, so listen for Elizabeth.
Elizabeth's family, she and her family, they keep us going at New York Comic Con. They bring us a lot of snacks, a lot of Pringles, a ton of Pringles every show. They're lovely people, and her daughter is fantastic, as is her husband. And you know, it's nice to see the same fans over and over, show after show, and you get to have a rapport with them. And somebody like Elizabeth, you know, you become friendly with as well outside of the show. You can follow on Facebook, you chat if you're in the same city. You get
D'Alessio, right?
D'Alessio, you said it the right way.
Oh, hold on, I just had a feedback there. Sorry.
Wow. I was like, we time jumped.
Wow.
Division.
Oh, interesting show. But yeah, like I said, and you're talking about Elizabeth, and you know, I see you there. I have family that sees you. I have friends, and you know, we've done the event. We've been at some of your own events, and we'll talk about that too. But you really went New York Comic Con. You run probably the biggest party on that entire show floor.
I think so, and I think that any of the booths that are on the side of us,
they don't stand a chance.
Way hour or signing are a little bit not that the most thrilled with them, but we get them involved in the party and they have a good time.
So I mean, I guess the first question we'll go into, and I just want to put out there, because you run this promo 360 group.
Yes.
Because promotions is your life, and that even goes back with what Elizabeth just said. What's your passion is. I guess she's trying to say what your passion is amazing.
No, What's Your Passion is the jewelry company that I co-own.
What's your okay? But your passion for promotions. And I'm gonna get the link up there too. I'm gonna pull that out in a second. But your passion for promotions. How did you get started doing promotions? Really, I guess that's a good place to start tonight before you even get into Marvel.
I'm old, right? I'm going to be 49 this year. I'm old. And so I happen to have a family friend who ran a promotion and PR business back in '93 when I was in college. And she wanted me to work on Mariah Carey's album and work on Mohegan Sun launching of that casino. And I came in and I did some work with her and kind of got me started. And then I started for Donald Trump. Right out of college. Literally graduated on Friday, worked for him starting on a Tuesday, and was at the Taj Mahal doing World Cup Soccer '94 promotions and spiraled into promotion business. But I did things like I designed Snicker boxes. I designed Cheez-It boxes. Like I did promotion, like sweepstakes, like contest. I wrote those rules that nobody reads. I wrote those for many years. There's a guy in our industry. He recently got into our industry, but he was my mentor for 5 years, John Smosky. And then another guy who used to be at DC at a very high up position as a senior vice president of marketing over there, Steve Rotterdam. Steve was my boss for a year. John was my boss for 4 years, and they mentored me in this. And I kept always telling them I want to get into comic books. Like I love comic books, and finally I went into comic books. I went to BarnesandNoble.com, started working at BarnesandNoble.com, which is the worst company ever to work for. And I mean, horrible. And from that, I got into the comic book world, being able to start doing events there. And then I started my own company in 2003. 2003, I started my own company. So it's been a long time. It's not easy owning your own company, but I only wanted to work in high fashion, which I did, which is boring, or comic books and video games, which is wonderful. So that's how I ended up doing it. It was great. And I got Marvel weirdly. So I got Marvel because I was doing an event at New York Comic Con.
Okay.
One of our absolute favorite shows. I was doing an event for 2K Games during Rise of the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four game. And this guy walked over to me during setup and he's like, "Oh, we have a great booth this year." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm John Doakes from Marvel." And I'm like, "Well, this isn't your booth." So that's your booth. And he's like, "Well, I like your booth." And I'm like, "Well, you can hire me." And a month later, he called me out of the blue and had me on the phone with a guy who became like my brother at Marvel, Mike Lopez, and another Mike. There's a lot of Mikes out there. And 2007, and I've been with Marvel representing them since 2007. They've been fantastic.
So really, when you got into it, I mean, the Marvel that we know now.
Yes, it's a Wonder Woman cup.
Yes, well, and for everybody who does know you, you are a huge Wonder Woman fan, and
I have a Thor shirt on. So
you're kind of crossing over, right? And I want to add. Well, we'll talk about Wonder Woman in a little bit. But when you started with Marvel, like you said in 2007, I mean, my God, what probably a far cry. You know more behind the scenes than the general public, but what? I think
there's 5 of us total that have been there from the beginning. So 4 at Marvel, and then me involved in the conventions.
Yeah. I just want to throw out here, and you know my brother-in-law, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, Mike.
But he says you're a living legend. I'm not sure how you keep up the energy for 4 straight days. Booth and staff couldn't be more professional and friendly. And Holden and him hope to see you again in October.
Holden's awesome. Love him. It's not easy to have that energy going because what a lot of people don't know, meaning the fans and the attendees, right? Yeah. They don't realize is we roll into town 5 days in advance. And in San Diego's case, 10 days in advance. So we're in there in the warehouse in San Diego in a 100-crate warehouse, unpacking every crate. And we have 4 tractor trailer fulls of crate. Because we don't just do Marvel, we do Boom Studios and we do Alex Ross and we do.
Oh, I didn't even know you did all those other ones.
Oh yeah, I think one year I had 9 different clients at the show. We, Bluefin and Comic Cave and stuff like that. So we do a lot. So we have to pack everything at the end of the show. Then it goes to our warehouse. And at the end of the year, we unpack it, check everything. But then before a show, we have to repack it all to make sure we have all the stuff. So we're there doing that. And then we show up on the show floor and we have to build. And we're the first people there building. And then the minute 4:30 comes at San Diego or Thursday morning comes at New York Comic Con, we literally take off our Promo 360 shirts and I put on one of these shirts and I become the Marvel team, as does my team. They become the Marvel team. And we're an extension of Marvel. We are, the fans don't know the difference because they don't need to. They don't know that we don't work for Marvel full time. We are the people who help run the booth, and Marvel helps, they have people there helping to run the booth, and it's one big cohesive team. It's fantastic. But the energy level is a lot of cappuccinos. And no matter how much I say every year, I'm not having Starbucks. I'm not having Starbucks. I'm not having Starbucks. I'm too fat. I'm too fat. I'm too fat. I don't want Starbucks. I drink like 6 a day.
Jesus.
And that's it. I don't do any energy drinks. I don't recommend them. But a nice good cappuccino or an iced caramel latte, that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, definitely. And again, I guess that energy, like you and your staff are really nonstop. Like you said, and you drinking 6 Starbucks, I can see why you don't stop. But like the energy there, and you mentioned the people that just around you and gravitate to you, and those other I guess poor vendors.
Well, so let me take you a little bit of a story there about the energy, since Stencil had asked about that. So I have 4 key people that work with me in my company, That's Sean, Bill, Stacy, and Jen. Jen is out there. Jen used to be at Marvel. That's actually how we became friends. Then she ended up coming to work for me. Bill was a cosplayer at C2E2, dressed up as Spider-Man. I was like, oh, nice Spidey suit. You want to come help me out? Stacy worked at superhero stuff. Sean worked at superhero stuff. They put their crap on my crate one day. I got into an argument with Sean, became great friends. Now he's worked for me for 7 years. So, and he brought Stacy along. But those are people that you don't always see. You'll see sometimes Bill on stage at C2E2. Yeah. I can't make it. You know, you'll see him. But Sean is the guy in the front of the stage when you come in to draw a ticket, hitting the button. So when you're slamming the button down to see if you win the ticket to get a signing, he's the guy running the computer to make sure that it all runs properly. But Sean is the guy who doesn't ever, ever, ever stop working. He is there till 3 in the morning every night during setup and during show because he has to do all the technical stuff. That big video screen, he runs all of that with the union people. It's constantly, he is working, and he is not a happy camper to be around, so we keep him behind stage. That allows Stacy to run around and create the teams that we have working for us. Like, you'll notice some people over the time that's always the same people. We have Carrie, we have you know, the Tweedles, and we've got Chelsea and a couple other people that are continually there. Stacy runs those, and then Bill makes sure that all the work happens on time. Like, everything has to happen. That is a very difficult show to run, and it's almost impossible if you're not a type A anal retentive Virgo to do it. You have to be, because Marvel will give you an entire list of what you need, and then that will change 100 times throughout the day. Really? Not that Marvel's disorganized. It's live theater. It changes. It's live improv. It changes no matter what you can do. And Marvel is rolling with it to bring the best to their fans. And then we have to roll with it to make sure it runs. And it's a symbiotic relationship. It's really, I've been in marketing and promotions since I'm 19 years old. Yeah. By far, I love all my clients. Marvel, I have the best relationship with, because they allow us to do, and I used to do it with 2K, they allow us to be front and center and help run the booth, and that really makes it run seamlessly. So,
and you know, I just want to throw out there, Elizabeth said Stacy's the best, and we have Lisa Harper here saying, give everyone on the team big cheer of appreciation for all their hard work they do to make the experience.
She's texting in from Canada. I think it's like negative 2,500 degrees there right now. So.
Well, Lisa, we have about 2 feet of snow here in New York.
So wait, I haven't even told Lisa this. Lisa sent me a package 2 months ago, and I haven't. So okay, Lisa's a fan, right? That's how I met Lisa. She's a fan, and her buddy Rajesh and her family, and they live in Canada. And she sent me a package, and it got lost in my move. I just moved. I just built a house through all this pandemic. And I just opened up, and it's this magnificently huge Wonder Woman coffee mug. So Lisa, thank you very much. But I want to bring it to work with me. I want to be here on set. It's Wonder Woman, and I can't. But you know, I'm gonna get the same one in an X-Men or something, or Captain America. But it's just like, you give it 5 pots of coffee in it. So that's how you get through the day. The fans know us.
So now let me ask you. So you're talking about like how it's really improv theater, right? So I mean, I guess the one thing that, especially in probably the last, 10 years or so, one of the things that people really come to look for over at the Marvel booth are the guests that you have there. So I'm guessing, and I guess you can probably speak to that, is, you know, it's constantly a revolving door of things, like, so that you may not even know it, and they may throw at you, you know, hey, it's at 10 o'clock they'll come and say, you know what, at 2 o'clock Tom Hiddleston's passing through here. Is that pretty much how that works?
No, not always. We know pretty much about a month in advance who's going to be coming, and then it gets confirmed as we get closer. Like, we're on site building, and we're still getting confirmations because people's schedules change. Yeah. So in San Diego, it's a lot easier for the larger name a celebrity guest because they're doing Hall H typically. Yeah. But it's also difficult because then they're doing Entertainment Weekly, and they're doing this, and this, and TMZ, and blah, blah. They got all these other interviews that they have to do. So we're trying to get their schedules to work. New York, we have had some great I think we have the most fun guests at New York. We get a lot of the TV guests there. We've had movie guests. We had in 2011, we had the cast of Avengers there, and that was fantastic to have Chris, Evans and the rest of the team there. One guest that really did surprise me at the last minute was Chris Pratt at San Diego. We knew we had a small gathering for Guardians of the Galaxy, but we didn't know that we were having Chris. We weren't aware we were getting Chris. That was a wish on everybody.
Yeah.
And we found out 5 minutes before that we were getting Chris, and he was bringing Zoe with him. So it's now I have to tell the people, go add more chairs to the stage. And they're like, wait, why? And I'm like, I can't tell you. And I can't tell my own staff. And I'm like, just add more chairs. Well, who's coming? I'm like, a producer. Shut up. Just go add chairs. And then when you get to announce it, and sometimes I announce it, sometimes, we have Ryan Penagos or we have Lorraine announce it. Whoever's announcing it, I happened to be announcing that year. And I was like, we brought them out. And I was like, oh, wait, we got Star-Lord. And we got Gamora. And the fans went crazy. So sometimes we don't know. And that's a lot of the fun. But then it's also some of the drama because the fans go so rabid in advance because they think like we did, I think it was 2 years ago at San Diego, we did a signing for, I want to say it was Infinity War. They run into each other, to be honest. Yeah. And we had Sebastian Stan and we had the Russo brothers. But people were online saying they've got nobody coming. They've got, or they got the whole cast coming. It was like ran the gamut. Nice to be here. I'm just laughing because I know we have, Sebastian was there, and I think we have Paul Bettany and a couple other people. I was thrilled because when you have the smaller groups, you're able to get more fans through and have a little bit more of an intimate experience. I never want to relive Age of Ultron signing because that was insane.
Well, because that's what I was going to ask. And I mean, I've seen you in action at New York, at New York Comic-Con, and like you said, the fans get rabid. I mean, like even just going to get on the ticket lines, and I mean, definitely Marvel and all the booths, like the mobs of people, and especially when you're doing like those giveaway hours. My God, like how do you, because I mean, obviously you have to have, you want to give that good fan experience. But right. I mean, it must be a struggle too, because I mean, I've seen you on there, and I can see like you're getting a little frustrated because people are pushing and shoving, and how do you maintain that?
Primarily, we want to put on a good show. Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the end of the show for that last hour. We want to entertain the fans, and it's really, honestly, Marvel's way of giving back and saying thank you. I'm very, very honored that they allow me to do it. It used to be John Dokes, and then Jesse would do it every now and then, and I come in and fill in. It's been kind of my thing for a couple of, a decade probably. But I really love when I get to do it because I get to know a lot of the fans that way, and I always try to look in the audience for somebody who's not misbehaving or somebody who's not yelling me, or with their kids on their shoulders and stuff like that. And
so this is a tip that fans who are watching tonight, if they want to get picked, these are the things to not do.
And if you're in the front every single night, probably not going to get picked. I always say let other people have a chance.
Yeah.
There are some people who get something every year, and then they'll turn around the next year if I don't give them something, like, but I got something last year, you didn't give it to me. Or somebody like, oh, I waited last year 3 nights in a row and I didn't get anything, and you only give to your favorites. I'm like, I see the top of your head. I don't even really see your face. I see the top of your hair. I can tell who's balding and who's not. Because we're up on the stage. The thing about the giveaway hour is we try to get the most amount of stuff we can and give out the coolest stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll hear me say this at New York quite a bit, or at C2. I always say, we're a publishing company first and foremost. So let's give out some comics. Let's give out trade paperbacks because we are a publishing company. Yes, we are a movie company as well, and a movie studio. And we do have video games and stuff. And, Becca McIntosh, who was in the games department, or Eric Monticelli in the games department, they would always get me like signed autographs from the game developers or concept art or something to give away. Mm-hmm. And that's wonderful, and we get Funko Pops, and then there are some partners who will give us stuff, and it's wonderful, but it's not easy. in 2014, the day after Comic-Con New York, I was rear-ended at a very high rate of speed, and subsequently ended up having to have 5 vertebrae in my neck opened up. And,
I remember seeing you post that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, hence the weight gain. But it changed my life because I can't work out anymore. And I used to teach classes at the gym, and I used to be very energetic, and I can't anymore. So the next year at New York Comic Con was a little bit difficult. I had surgery. Well, not the next year. In 2018, I had surgery in August. So 2018 at New York Comic Con, I was kind of like walking through the giveaway hour, and I couldn't turn my head, and it was painful. But you still try to give the fans everything because you're there. You paid for a ticket for entry into this show. And this is something that I want to talk about New York Comic Con. Let's segue into something. New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con do this really well. And as somebody who has owned their own Comic Con, ACBC, Atlantic City Boardwalk Con, and their own Comic Con cruise, Fantasy, now being called Comics Cruise, I want to really stress this. You are asking people to pay admission to come into a show. You need to give them entertainment. It should not be a flea market. You should not be walking up and down aisles looking at fidget spinners and a wall of pops. You need to give them some entertainment. And I think that Marvel does it better than anybody. And I'll give DC credit. They do a good job. They followed us a little bit. But Marvel does it better than anybody with giving entertainment. You don't have to pay to come into our booth. You don't have to feel like you have to buy. You come in and we're going to entertain you. Whether it's giving away free stuff on the tables or on stage, or we have autograph signings, or we're showing trailers, or we have artist signings and writer signing. You know, you can come up and get a signature from Frank Thierry. I mean, it's an experience in and of itself. That to me is what we have to do as a show, because if you're going to pay, and I've never bought a ticket for a show before, so I don't know how much they are, but I'm assuming they're like $30 or $40 for a day pass. If you're going to come in and spend $40 for yourself and $40 for your kids and whatever it is, you need to have something for them to do other than having to go into your pocket all the time. It's like Disney World. You pay to get away and you can ride the rides for free, but if you want to buy the stuff, it's there. We need to make shows transition to entertainment, not a sales floor of a swap meet. And I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on that, but that is where I have been counseling shows, especially over this last year that we haven't done any. I get a lot of calls from show owners, and I welcome those show owners to call me to try to say, how do I make my show better when we come back? How do I make it more interactive? How do I make it safe? How do we work with coronavirus? But how do we also make it entertaining? So at Atlantic City Boardwalk Con, if you remember, we had a big hexagon area or octagon area where we had Mary Carr, TJ McDonald. They were teaching lightsaber battles, or we had, stage combat classes for free.
And even the stuff like I came up with when my group was there, we did the kids stuff.
Right, we did all the kids stuff there that year. And to me, that's what you need to offer at a convention, because the reason we are, and I'll go back to Marvel, right? The reason Marvel, and when I say we, understand I'm speaking as me and Marvel as a team, right?
Yeah.
The reason Marvel is successful at what they do is we think about it from step number one of how do we entertain the fans. And I work with a guy, Brian, over there, who runs the conventions, and his team, they're freaking amazing guys. Prior to that, I worked with Mike Busciulo, who I mentioned earlier, for almost a decade. And Brian's taken over that role, and Brian does a fantastic job. But Brian and I, or Mike and I, we sit there on phone calls and work on what can we do that's cool? What can we do that's really cool? And I'm so mad we couldn't do a show last year because we had a cool new reset design. We redesigned everything. It was going to be awesome. I mean, and that is, to me, where you have to start when you're doing a booth, and where you need to start when you're doing a show. And even if you're a 5x5 or a 10x10 booth, you need to start with how to entertain and attract your audience to your booth. Yeah, you want to sell. Yeah, you want to promote. But what do you do to give back versus just doing this? We also those Bernie memes, right? At the convention, and Bernie's there like this, like buy my art, or I'm stuck here watching someone's table. That meme was fantastic because
that's Comic-Cons.
It's Comic-Con, and it shouldn't be. So if there's anybody out there that's listening now, or when this re-airs, please reach out to me at promo360group.com. I'm happy to give you advice. I'm happy you want to retain me and have me create it for you. I'm happy to do that. But I'm happy to talk to anybody. It could be a 10 by 10 mom and pop booth.
Yeah.
I will help you out because I want the industry to be better. I don't know if that answers any questions.
No, I think 100%. It's the experience that you're creating for people.
Experiential marketing. That's what it is.
Because again, these things are expensive, and you and I both know this, and I think a lot of the people watching this too, like you said, a flea market. But you can walk around a Comic-Con, like back before Amazons and eBays were the thing. Like you went to a Comic-Con, it's like, all right, cool. I find this toy or this thing, but you know what? 90% of the time you can go find it cheap. Do you need to buy that Funko Pop at New York Comic-Con, or can you go and get it at Target, right, for $20 cheaper?
And part of me is like, I want to make sure it, convention exclusives. My friend Tony and his wife Michelle own it. I'm sure you know them. They're great people. They have a great comic shop down here in Hollywood, Florida. I don't want to take business away from them because somebody like that is selling pops. Other people are selling pops, and there's a spot for it. But
it's what makes your booth stand out, and what is your customer service? Are you that guy sitting there like this, or are you engaging with the people?
You'll never see Tony or Michelle sitting down.
Correct. See that?
Walking around and talking to people, and you want something? If I don't have it, I'll get it for you, kind of a deal.
And I'll go find it.
I don't know how often you go to San Diego or not.
I have not been to San Diego ever. I look forward. I have to get out there one day. I'm an East Coast guy so far.
Oh my God! Well, all right. So Jay Nizo is at New York Comic Con as well. He's like way in the 3000s, like way down the other side of the building. So Jay Nizo owns Nerdgasms in Vegas, and I think it actually closed during COVID. Jay's been a convention fixture for a million years. He's a god to me. He's a singer. He's fantastic. Jay has autographed photos that are framed, and he does them beautifully. He will tell you the personality and the interactivity that you have with these people walking by is what sells his pieces. Now, there are a lot of other people selling autographs that are framed.
Yep.
They look nice. His look nice. It's his interactivity and his knowledge and his way of making that an experience that's going to change it for the person coming in, and then make them reach into the wallet and say, yeah, all right, I'll spend $1,500 on an autograph, or I'll spend whatever. I think that it needs to change. And if anything, this gap year that we've had, gap 18 months that we're going to have, this gap year is crucial for a reassessment of how conventions, as convention owners like myself, present conventions, or as convention marketers, as myself, or convention exhibitors, as I work for, to how they interact with the attendees. Also, I think it's a time for the attendees to reassess how they interact with shows, because the smaller shows, and small, I mean, it could be 20,000 people, 30,000 people. That's still not a 200,000 person show. It's 20,000 people is a massive show. Don't get me wrong. For me, I mean, I had 20,000 people at ACBC. I was thrilled, For those smaller shows, it's really hard because you make your money selling the convention floor. That's where it covers your costs.
That's what I do.
And 20% of your ticket sales goes to covering those costs. And then the other 80% of your ticket sales go on to cover all the other crap that you don't make on celebrity, guarantees, etc.
Correct.
I think that the attendees, the fans, need to be more understanding, because they're putting so much pressure on these smaller shows, meaning not owned by a big conglomerate, to bring in Chris Evans or bring in Stephen Amell. And they're 50. I mean, I have William Shatner. It was $50,000 for William Shatner to be at my show, and he wouldn't even come out from behind the booth unless he had a line. Well, you can't come out of the green room. You might get a line. You're sitting in the green room, you're not going to line. And I had to pay him $50,000. He didn't make his guarantee. He didn't come anywhere close to his guarantee. Same thing with Adam West. And it's not their fault. The fans wanted them, but at the same time, the fans need to realize that the more you ask these smaller shows to get these larger names, there's a huge dollar amount associated with that. I think that some of the A-list celebrities are getting $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to attend, and the show has to front that.
Yeah, and I don't, and that's the thing. Like you're saying, I don't think the attendees realize that, or I think it gets to the point where like the attendees are like, oh, you know, I can't believe, you know, like, you know, I'm just like, oh, Jeffrey D. Morgan charges $100 for an autograph. There's a reason why that he's charging, because he's got to meet that goal, that guarantee.
Well, he doesn't have to meet it. The show wants him to meet it. If the show doesn't meet it,
I owe it to him then.
That makes up the difference.
Yeah.
And you got to think hotels, per diem, flights. First off, there is zero reason that a celebrity who's getting paid $20,000, $10,000, $5,000 to come for a weekend needs a per diem. I had to pay it at the shows. I refuse to pay it on my cruises because there's no, if I ever have a show again, which we're planning one, but if I ever gonna have a show again, I will never pay a per diem again. If I'm paying you $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, you have enough money to go pay for your own coffee and your own food. That's the way I get it.
I agree.
Also, I don't think I'll ever work with any handler who brings their people in with these massive guarantees again, because you're creating such a ceiling. It's like the stock market. You're artificially inflating, and the shows can't handle it. And then what happens is you get people who cancel, and then the show is now, we sold tickets for it. You know, I had Stan Lee cancel. You know, we sold tickets for it, and then they don't show up, and now you're having a refund, and the show has already spent that money for the marketing, which is what you're supposed to do. It's really difficult. So it's not an oh, woe is me kind of a situation, but it's really for the fans to understand that this demand to have top A-list talent there needs to be balanced with what the rest of the show is. Yeah. And we can't sell the rest of the floor, or we can't sell sponsorships. It's hard to bring that talent in.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is, like you're mentioning, the different talent. And I mean, this could be an A-list person all the way down to like a Z-list person, right? There, you know, because then there's some, and I don't guarantee wise, like if you were, you know, a walker in 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, and you know, some of these guys want thousands of dollars as a guarantee.
It's the only way they make money.
But it's like, you're not going to make that money at my show. Even
you know, there's a celebrity that I won't name, but the story is well known. And I really love the guy. So it's, you know, I'm not, there's no harm, no foul against him. I'm just using it as a story. Where they walked out with garbage bagfuls of cash.
Jesus.
Because they got paid in cash. And they verbally said, and it got picked up on social media, that they make more money at a show in one day than they make on their episode shooting it for an entire season. And I don't begrudge anybody that money, but it gets artificially inflated, and there's going to be a point where people can't do it. And also, do you really want to stand online and to pay $30 for an autograph from somebody, but you have less than 10 seconds with them? You know, because if you push through. You know, I think that the best way to put it, and I can't see who's logged on to watch this or not, but when I did Fantasy, which was a concept I came up with on my own, I partnered with a couple of people to do it, but I came up with this concept. I wrote it on a paper napkin and in the car, and was like, okay, this is perfect. Let's run with this. When I did Fantasy, which was the first ever fully Comic-Con cruise, we did it so that it would be an intimate affair. And one of the best compliments I ever got was a guy who is on my Facebook, so I don't want to name him because I don't want to embarrass him. But I met him on the cruise. I didn't know him before. And he said, why would I ever go to a Comic-Con again and pay all this money to wait online for a 1-minute interaction, if that, with somebody, when I can have breakfast sitting next to Michael Rooker, and then I can go sit next to Scott Snyder at the poker table, and then I can go, you know, hang out and party and karaoke with, you know, with anybody else who's on this shit. When we have the cast of Stranger Things and some of that, you know, Kat Dyer and stuff, you know, Kat Dyer and her husband, Jason McDonald, who was also on Walking Dead a couple episodes, but he's got a new series coming out. So excited. And Catherine Dyer, you know, was in season 1 of Stranger Things. They were just hanging out at the pool with people. Michael Rooker walking around with PJs going, Who wants to eat breakfast with me? Lou Temple, trying to find somebody to sit next to for dinner.
Yeah.
But that's what an experience should be. And that's where I think that this experientialness of conventions needs to move towards, because it's going to be cost prohibitive for shows to be able to do this continually going forward. And we will get back. I know there's a lot of talk about shows are never coming back. It's bullshit.
They'll be back.
They're back. It's a whole industry. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
We need people to get vaccinated. We cannot get back to these type of events until people get vaccinated. There's, I think, 39 million people in America who have been vaccinated so far. There's enough data out there to know whether or not it's safe. Do your own research. Read the science. Read the science. Read the science. If you can read the science and you decide that vaccination is right for you, great. Please come to the shows when it's safe. You're going to be wearing masks. Don't complain about it. Cosplayers wear masks all the time.
There you go.
We want to stay safe. I think we'll be back. Today WonderCon announced that they're going to go virtual. Nobody is shocked by that. It's an early in the year show. Dr. Fauci just announced today that he thinks all Americans, if they want to be vaccinated, can be vaccinated by June. So to me, I don't know if San Diego is going to happen this year. I would really like it to happen, but I think New York is going to happen this year. So I'm very happy. My conversations with the people at New York seem to be going very positively, but a lot of it's going to happen with the people who are out there listening in America, and Canada. Wear a freaking mask, social distance. Don't go out if you don't need to. Stay in your house and keep to a small social bubble.
Yeah, no,
it's not hard, people.
No, I want to ask you now too, as you know, we're sitting here talking about conventions. You mentioned WonderCon, right? That's going virtual. You've been doing this for many years. What are your thoughts on these virtual conventions? Because we're talking about that experience with that 1 or 2 minute interaction that you pay $100. And I've had these conversations with people too, both managers and talent. What do you think about these shows where people are dropping like $100 to do essentially what you and I are doing now for like 2 minutes, and then it's like, oh, all right, look up and smile, and they take a screenshot? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree with it, to be honest. But I know why it's out there, because people need to make money. All right. So I was at C2E2 last year for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday I left. Sunday I got on a boat here in Fort Lauderdale and took a cruise over to Barcelona, a transatlantic cruise. I did not know when I left C2E2 Saturday night that would be my last convention of the year.
Yeah.
And my life shut down. I had a very large amount of contracts for the rest of last year, all put on hold, all of them. I landed in Barcelona on the 18th or the 13th of March. My world was over. And
did you get stuck there for a while too?
I got stuck there for a week.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Trump changing laws every 5 seconds about flying. We were stuck there for a week. But I'll tell you, if you're going to be stuck someplace, Barcelona,
there you go.
They handled it very well. I was with my husband and two of our friends, and we did it really well, and everything was good. We ended up getting home through a lot of help from people on Facebook. People found us a flight, but I didn't work, and I have not worked. I mean, we've been working on Victory Hill with some costume design and some set projects. Victory Hill does Avenger Station out in Vegas, and they do some tours, so we them out with stuff, but we haven't worked. And let me just point something out to people. That sucks. So I am a type A Virgo. I am 48 years old. I have run my own company since 2003. I have been, I'm going to quote Cher right now. I've been rich. I've been poor. Rich is better. I don't ask for sympathy from anybody, but my point being that I like to work. I don't work because I have to work at the level I do. I work because I want to work at that level. It would be fine. I could have Sean and myself working, which we did for about 4 years, just the two of us, hire freelancers as we used to do. And Sean and I would work 5 months out of the year, and then talk 1 day a week for the other 7 months. He got his paycheck the whole year. I got my paycheck the whole year. It was great. I work really hard because I like to work. My team likes to work. I love what I do. I love my clients. Alex Ross's people, Boom's people. I mean, of course, Marvel. I love some of them are frustrating overseas. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I love them dearly anyway. Comic Cape, I love them dearly anyway. But I'd like to get back to work, and we didn't realize how wonderful we had it.
Yeah.
When we were on this convention circuit, and we never expected the rug to be pulled out from underneath us. And I'm sure people out there who are friends with me on Facebook who might be watching this see, oh, I've been renovating a house, because we bought a house March 18th that had to be completely gutted. We actually moved in like 6 days ago, and we still don't have doors. Just got I don't have sinks. I have one sink. There's no doors on toilets. So you got to go to the other side of the house. Thank God it's a large house. But that became my job. And but what people don't see, and I want to be very real with your viewers, and if nobody takes anything else away from this, is I want to show you that there's a depression that happens. And myself and some of my team members, and a lot of my friends in this industry, we've all been very depressed. We have all felt with the rug pulled out from underneath us through no fault of our own.
Yeah.
Well, how do you survive? I see other people able to go back to work, and it was when restaurants couldn't work and gyms couldn't open. There was a lot more empathy out there, but then gyms are opening and restaurants are opening, and people can go back. Retail's open, and my partner works 2 jobs. He works in New Jersey and down here in Aventura full time. Flies between, like he's working a 24-hour shift today, flies home tomorrow morning, and works a 24-hour shift tomorrow night at Aventura in trauma. So there's a lot of that depression and anxiety, and how do you go forward? How do you get through the day? But how do you get forward? And a lot of people don't talk about that online right now in our industry. And in our industry, you are not working at these shows in the capacity that I do, like front of house, as well as back of house, because I do all that. I mean, obviously I design and build this stuff, and I market it. Unless you enjoy that attention, unless you enjoy that energy and you feed off that energy. And we have our con friends. Same way, like we'll pop in, we get a hug, how's it going? 5-minute catch up, I gotta get back to work, right? I do that about 600 times a weekend.
Yeah.
And that gets me through it. That gives me energy. And now we've all been socially distant, very difficult. And you don't have the paychecks coming in, and you don't have the random extra money coming in, and you're not seeing your convention friends who are actually real friends, but you just see them on the convention. It's very difficult. And if we are able to come back from this, and I believe we will come back from this, and I have wonderful clients who have been very supportive and telling me that when it comes back, they're coming back full force, which is great. I think we are hopeful, we meaning I'll just talk to myself, I am hopeful that we see a different way of working with the unions, a different way of working with show management, a different way of working with exhibitors and clients of ours. Like, I'm a marketing agency first and foremost, and a different way of working with the fans and the attendees, where there's a little bit less of the entitlement, even on our part, a little bit less of the entitlement, a little bit less of the working with unions is not easy, especially in New York. It's really, really, really difficult to work with the unions there. Show management's fantastic. Lance Fensterman knows how to run a show like nobody else does, and his entire team. Larry and Mike and all of them. They're fantastic. Rich Asentowitz makes it all work. If you are looking for your crate, you call him. He gets you your crate. I hope that we see a change in reality and a change in perception going forward, because that's very necessary. Sorry to be a downer, but I want to talk about the realities of working in a COVID situation, and it's rough. If I didn't have this house, I mean, we redid this house completely. I mean, like everything. There's nothing that wasn't done.
It can't be counted.
Yeah, if I was here 16 hours a day, it's a full-time job. I would have gone stir crazy. So it's definitely rough, and I wish that we can get back to work soon. I hope San Diego happens. I don't think it will. I'm hopeful that it will. But New York, I believe, will happen. And I believe Salt Lake City will probably happen. and a couple other shows towards the end of the year will happen. I think Emerald City got moved to the end of the year, and I think C2E2 got moved to October, I believe, or November. And we need those shows. There's things to promote. There's things that need to be discussed. There's products we want to show off. I mean, look at what Wonder Woman did.
Yeah.
The movie was held, and then held again because of COVID multiple times, and finally released, and it did well. I mean, it still did well in the theaters, but it did massive on demand, on HBO Max. And I know Marvel's going to release some films that way, and other studios have released films and TV shows that way, but you need the promotion of the shows to help bolster that. And that is very important.
Yeah, at this point now too. And I mean, I think, like you're mentioning, like some of the bigger shows, I think it's going to be interesting to see as things restart. Like, you know, your main staple shows are going to come back. But I from what I've been reading too, I think, you know, this is, you know, almost like the grassroots, the smaller shows are going to be the ones that really start showing up more, because, you know, not looking for those, you know, $100,000 guarantee kind of guests. Like, you know, hey, you know, this person wants to come and sign autographs, whether it be comic books or celebrity wise, and they're maybe charging us like a couple $100, or they're just going to come in and whatever they make is what they make. Those are the shows that I think are going to start seeing some movement on too, from what I'm getting.
Mike, I think you're onto something. I think the problem is, will the fans want that? Will the fans want to go and pay the admission to a show if they don't have those large guests? Now, let's go back to ACBC in Atlantic City in 2015 for the first.
I just want to tell you, you had such an amazing lineup at that show. I mean, Rooker was there, I remember. You had all the voice guys, like, I mean, Rob Paulson, all those guys were there. You had Adam West. I mean, what a huge.
Yeah, we had a lot of great people. We had the people from Once Upon a Time. We had a great lineup. But
comic book man.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm from Red Bank, New Jersey.
Of course, right?
This was like 5 doors down from them. So, I mean, literally before they were famous, I was just buying my comics there. And actually, when I landed in Marvel, I mean, it's no surprise. I was a bigger DC fan, right? When I landed Marvel, I had to learn all about Marvel beyond what I used to just read. And Mike took me aside and just went through everything with me from Marvel for months. Here, read this, read this, read this. This is what you need to do. And it was fantastic. I mean, I owe a lot to Mike. They're great guys over there. And Kevin went to the high school next to me, and you know, in Atlantic Highlands and stuff. So it's nice to see a lot of talent from there. You know, came out actually, and Brian, not Brian from Comic Book Men, Brian from Middletown South wrote Hop, and he wrote what the hell is it? The Minion movie, and you know, there's like a lot of talent in Monmouth County, New Jersey. I will say that, but. You know, the problem is with the conventions coming back, the smaller ones come back, there's a cost to do it. There's a cost to do it, there's a cost to run it, there's a cost for the hall, and then the unions. So at ACBC, when I did it, I mean, I think we spent $1 million, something like that. And I funded 95% of it myself, and hence the gray hair and the gray beard. But we tried to do something different. And that show, we had, for a small independent show, Marvel's biggest booth they've ever done. 100 foot by 50 foot booth. We had Top Cow there. We had Roddenberry there. We had Boom there. We had Chris, who runs Alex Ross, brought his some Alex Ross stuff, as well as his own comic book shop there. We had Zenoscope. I think we had 12 publishers that showed up at that show with larger than 10 by 10 booths, like, you know, 10 by 20, 20 by 20s, 30 by 30s. And there's no other show, to my knowledge, that has done that other than the big 3 shows.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
And that's a testament to my relationships, I think, and people willing to take a chance on me. We also tried to do things differently. We wanted to make sure that you have experiences from the minute you come in to the minute you leave. And those shows led to the convention, led to the cruise, which was, again, very experiential. But there's costs associated with that. And I'd love to see the fans understand that those convention owners, you know, I don't know if you know Mary Campbell. She runs.
Yeah, I know her and Dan.
She's awesome.
Yes.
So Mary runs a small, I mean, there's costs. Even that one that might cost $30,000 or something. there's costs, and we often come out of our pocket for it. So if you're wavering on whether you should buy a ticket to go to a show, buy the ticket. If you're wavering on whether you should go spend your money on a VIP bag, buy the VIP. Help them out, and then the shows will be able to get better and better and better and better over time. Because it's expensive. Unions are expensive to work with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I do a small show in the local mall up here. I am in the Hudson Valley, and I mean we do a free show, and we're funded by the table sales. But the thing is, the people that come are happy, and the vendors are happy because it's mall traffic, But I can bring in a couple of guests from the money I get from them. But like you said, I have to pay for insurance, I have to pay for the supplies and stuff like that. So it seems like an easy endeavor, but it takes work, even for the smallest kind of show,
It does. And here's the thing. It's worth it in the end. I didn't make money on ACBC. I lost money. I still am paying ACBC off. I made way more than money on it because I got the relationships and I got the cred in the industry, and I was already a pretty well-known person in there, and it kind of got better, and it's helped me broaden, and I got more clients from it. I was able to do the cruise, and we were actually trying to do the cruise this year, and AAA wanted to partner with me on the cruise for 2021. So we were in active negotiations with AAA and Royal Caribbean to do another cruise, and then COVID happened. So I hope that will come back. Because the cruise is outrageous. I can't tell you how good the cruise was. And thank you to Juliet Tertiev, who is like one of the best talent bookers and agents out there, because she brought all of her. Brooker was scared of water, and he came on the cruise. We had such a great time on that cruise. I really wish everybody could have come on it. It was we didn't sleep. Did not sleep at all, but we had a blast. And if you like the Love Boat and you like conventions, that's really what it was like.
Because you have celebrity guests, right? There you go. It is a Love Boat.
We had Sean Gunn, who was very enamored with one of my staffers. So it was kind of like the Love Boat. We're like, well, where's Sean Gunn? What's he doing? Kind of a deal. Like, where's he at? And then we had one guest that we couldn't find. This is a riot. We had a guest. I'm blanking on his name. He was on Walking Dead, and I don't watch the show, so I can't even tell you what character he was. I think he was the priest, so like a Spanish guy. But anyway, we couldn't find him for 2 days.
Oh my God!
5-day cruise. We couldn't find him for 2 days. So at 2 a.m, if you've ever gone to MegaCon or any of the Informer shows, you would probably know Constance. She runs like all the artist alleys for them. And Constance is also a neurosurgeon or a neurologist, sorry. And so she calls me at 2 a.m. She's like, we can't find him. We're going to go do a mental health check and a physical health check. So my husband and Constance go at 2 a.m. and key into the room with the security guard. And they just look through the room and they see the sliding door to the balconies open.
Oh my God.
It's black. And we're like, you're gonna ruin my show because you went overboard? Really? That's all I kept thinking when they told me. He was just passed out asleep on his couch around the corner, but they didn't see it. But we all thought that he was overboard. But it's stuff like that that just really was, you had random. Mark Brooks. I mean, if you guys like art, Mark is fantastic, right? He's one of the top artists out there. You had Mark Brooks and with his wife Lisa, who's freaking amazing, wandering around with their son Jack. They did some autographs and some free signings upstairs. If you wanted to learn how to be an artist, they talked to you. They did master classes. Scott Snyder. You had everybody. We had so much fun on that cruise, and I'm hoping we can do something like that at a convention again and make it that more intimate.
Yeah.
Because I think the intimacy is really lacking in shows right now. The shows have become these smaller shows, not the larger ones, a little cookie cutter and a little step and repeat. And I would hope that people have taken this gap year, and been able to figure out how to rework what their offerings are. Because point of differentiation is what's going to make your show better. If you can point to something that is distinctly different than what other shows are offering. At ACBC, we offered more publishers than anybody. We changed the way aisles work. We had diagonal aisles at some point. to try to change traffic flow.
And we had the accessible aisle too, which was really great. I remember.
Well, the handicap aisle, the accessible aisle was, so my friend Ty had passed away from NF2, and I called it the Ty Way in his honor. And it was great. If you're disabled, or you need help, or you're autistic and you want to get away from the crowd, walk down this aisle. It's the main hallway. And I've never seen another show do that, but I got a lot of compliments on that.
Yeah.
At the Wonder Woman Museum, I called Christy Marston, the granddaughter of the person who created Wonder Woman, and said, I've been to your house. I've seen your in-house museum. Bring that crap out of your house. Let's build a museum. And she's like, this stuff has never left this house. There was artwork by H.G. Peter that had never left their house before. And her dad, who has since passed away, Pete, the son of the creators of Wonder Woman, allowed us to take that out there. And Christy created with me this wonderful Wonder Museum that she's done a couple of times at other shows. We had the Stan Lee Museum, which was fantastic. I'm pointing like over here, like where it was, and Christy's that way. But I can still see it very clearly. That kind of thing is the point of differentiation, is what's going to be really key. Now, I'm happy to work with any show that wants to talk with me about ideation. Do you want to hire me for it? It's going to be better. But I'm happy to give them ideas, because that point of differentiation is where you're going to get your ticket sales. And that's going to allow you to entertain people beyond just coming in like a Wizard World show. Although I think with the new president of Wizard World, he's a really good guy. So I've known him for Peter, I've known him for many, many years. But Wizard World was pay to get through the door, walk through a swap meet, and go stand in line to meet John Barrowman.
There you go. Yep. That's what a lot of times.
Don't get me wrong. I love John Barrowman. He's awesome. But I want a little bit more than that. I want to be able to. I want to hang out with John Barrowman.
Money to go into a flea market, right?
Well, I want to be able to hang out with John.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go and talk to an artist and say, "How did you get started? Show me. Here's a piece of my art. Look at this." Or I want to walk through Artist Alley and have not just be. It's. I always feel bad. I don't know if you feel this way. I feel bad walking through Artist Alley if I'm walking and I'm just going and I'm looking and I'm looking, but I'm not stopping to talk to people and buy stuff, because those people want you to look and buy something.
Except these guys.
Well, if you're like this, you ain't getting my attention at all.
Because you walk through Artist Alley, and that's the thing too, is there's so many people who are still sitting there like that, and they're not.
You understand why they're sitting there like that, because they're not selling and they don't learn their lesson, But I've offered this on a couple of the podcasts that I've done. If there are artists out there, if there are small businesses out there that want to talk to me about strategy, I'm happy to do it, because it just makes our industry better and it makes the experience better for the fans. That's what it comes down to. I love the fans. I mean, look, you had Elizabeth chime in, you had Lisa chime in. I mean, I'm sure other people there, but like those are two women that are fantastic who I became friends with because they were fans,
Yeah, well, time is flying. We're having a great time here, and we've been on for like almost an hour. No, but this is a good thing. But like you mentioned, Lisa put a couple of things in here. Just talking about like the customer. You're talking really about and she put a couple of comments in here about what's that?
Not surprised. She's very verbose.
But the one thing I'm just looking at here, she wrote, it's about the needs of the customer, meeting those needs. And that's what you're doing with what you do. You're putting the first to attract the customers and fans like her, and the business aspect of it. But absolutely. And you really need to differentiate what it is about your event, your show. Like for the stuff I do, we're very kid-centric. We'll bring it like, there's other cons that are out there, which, are more of an adult theme. You have to find your niche and go with it, and then that's what the people come to expect from you.
You got to find your niche, go with it, and then deliver on what you want to deliver on. Because I'll go back to Marvel for a minute, right? The reason we have people come up to us at the Marvel booths, C2, San Diego, New York, whatever booths we're doing for them, whether it was Toronto, whatever, and they tell us we come to the show for Marvel. We're Marvel fans, and we are going to plant our butt here on the red carpet, or at C2E2 black carpet. And we're going to plant our butt here, and we're not going to move. And I'm like, okay, but there's a whole other show for you to go see. Nope. You make us feel comfortable here.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel makes us feel comfortable here. And by you, meaning the crew at Marvel.
Yeah.
And I mentioned my friend Ty, who passed away earlier, Ty Holt. his mom, Ty was in a scooter, and his mom had come. The way I met them, they came to San Diego, and she was flustered and blotchy. You could tell she had been crying, and Ty really couldn't talk. He was a dancer, but he had 100 something tumors down his spine, and he lost control of his body and stuff. It was a horrible disease. But anyway, we had somebody on our team who did sign language, so I put them with him. And I had asked Mom, I said, what's wrong? She said, well, I went to another booth and they yelled at us. They told us to get out of their booth because I was just sitting there on the scooter and there was too many people and he couldn't get out. So he was just sitting there, and they said that they need us to keep moving. And she goes, and you guys, as soon as you saw him coming on the red carpet, you walked over and said, hey, let me get people out of your way. Where do you want to go in the booth? Let me know if you need anything. And if you feel like you can't get out, just flag us and we'll come help you. And she goes, nobody else does that. And I'm sure there are other people who do it, but Kathy just happened to say that to me, and it stuck with me. And that's where our friendship really developed. And she's a genuine friend who I dearly care about. And the loss of her son was devastating for me. But we go out of our way to help the disabled or the handicapped. We go out of our way to help veterans. We go out of our way to help children. We go out of our way to help seniors. And then, of course, the casual fans, we go out, the average fans, we go out of our way to make sure that everybody has the same experience. If you're able-bodied or disabled-bodied, you are going to have the same experience at Marvel, at the Marvel booth. If you are somebody who has given time and service to the country, you are going to get a special treatment at Marvel. We will go out of our way to help you. If you're overwhelmed and excited, so your brother-in-law, shows up with his son Holden, who's phenomenal, and you show up with your son, and if those kids, they're young, so they can get a little bit nervous around people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And quite often I see your son, like, he'll cling to you because there's a lot of adults around and they're little and it's hot down there, and so we will try what we can to open that space up. We will try what we can to make sure that that little guy or that little girl has the same experience as everybody else. And that is what's key. I don't know. I sound preachy. I don't mean to sound preachy.
Again, talking about like my last comic, well, I had my show at the end of October 2019, my last IncrediCon. But prior to that, my last show that I attended was 2019 New York Comic Con, and I had my son with me, and that's where you got to see him the first time. But that one of the experiences like we had, he's a big Disney fan. So that show, they had Jodie Benson, Paige O'Hara, and Anika Nani Rose.
Yeah. Right? Oh, I love Anika.
Mike, well, while we're chatting, I'll pull this up for you. So he drew pictures for all of them. Jodie Benson, and I love Jodie Benson. She was like, okay, cool. Paige O'Hara and Anika, my God, they were in love with my son.
Well, Paige is fantastic, and Anika's just a sweetheart.
She was hugging him, and she wrote an autographed picture, and she called him Prince Caleb, and as we're leaving, we saw her again, and he's like bye Tiana. She's like bye Caleb, and to this day, like Tiana, like here in our basement, there you go.
Aww.
So we're a big Disney house, but I mean, Princess and the Frog, Anika Nani Rose, like, he loves her. He told me I need to marry her. But
her husband will approve that.
I don't think he'd approve, but yeah, it's that those are the experiences. And like some of the people who I've done conventions with who do comic books or do voices or stuff with the Muppets and stuff, like the interactions that I see with the young people, but just the fans that they've touched. Again, it's that moment. And that interaction is really what it needs to be when you go to an event like this. Like the stuff that I do with the kids section, we don't make millions of not even say thousands of dollars at a show, but it is we do our workshops. People will buy art from the team that we have there and stuff, but people will come back show after show after show and be like, oh, what? I saw you at ACBC. I saw you at East Coast, and stuff like that. And you're building that following. And I think that's what the more important thing is. Like you mentioned about the con friends, the place where people go where they feel safe because you've made that relationship already.
And it really is wonderful to hear that you've experienced that, because we got that at our shows. And I love seeing and hearing that from other people who are show owners, because I hope the fans are just lovely to everybody. I mean, I hope the attendees are lovely to everybody, because there's really no reason. We're all nerds. I mean, we're all geeks. mean, I was loving Wonder Woman and Batman when I was 4 years old. I learned to read by reading comic books.
Yeah.
I never saw a piece of tinfoil that didn't become a bracelet, or a rope that didn't become a lasso, or a hefty bag that wasn't a cape. So I almost choked myself once, but that's besides the point. It's funny. I'm sure you have this as well. I have a lot of vendors. See, I'm using construction people going in and out of my house. Because we're like I said, we're renovating the house, and they see now that we're moving in, they see like my artwork is coming out and pictures and stuff. And the minute we talk about what do you do, and I tell them what I do, I'm such a nerd, I'm such a geek. And it's so funny because 10 years ago, nobody would ever admit that. And they're like, oh my God, I love this. And then I pull out the phone and I just start swiping through all the pictures of Robert Downey Jr. and Sigourney Weaver and all that. And it's awesome. My partner is like, Keith is like, you really shouldn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I should. I have a freaking life. I am very happy I met all these people. And with most of them, I become friendly with outside of the cons as well. And I'm going to brag and show it nonstop on my phone and just keep going, yeah, look what I met. And I'm the same people.
Well, that's, in a different way. So my day job, I'm an assistant principal at the local high school here. So what a tool it has been in my experience of working with young people. People love Black Lightning, and I was at a show.
Worked on the costumes on that show.
What's that?
My buddy worked on the costumes on that show.
Really? I love Black Lightning, but I have a picture with Chris Williams and China McClain and all those, and the kids are just like, oh my God, so I become like, not just like, oh, he's the assistant principal, like he knows our stuff. I'm like, yeah, but the good thing in that tool is like there are some kids who struggle behaviorally and stuff like that, and the minute I show them somebody from Black Lightning or The Flash, Mark Ruffalo filmed a movie around up in the Poughkeepsie, New York area. And I'm sure you've met him several times. My God, what a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. And I met him a couple of times, and he remembered me. He's like, you work in a school? I was like, absolutely. So him and I had a nice conversation.
Humans. If you treat a celebrity like a human,
oh my God.
If you treat him like a celebrity, the wall goes up.
Exactly.
I show that picture to people with me, Chris Evans, Sebastian Stan, and Sam Jackson.
Who are those guys, right?
And people are like, so did you just get up on stage and meet them? No, no, not at all. But this is my favorite to show people. I don't know if you can see. So that's 2007 with Robert Downey Jr.
Who are those guys?
Exactly. and people are like, wait, you've met Robert? I'm like, many times. I'm like,
doing some other big show now too, isn't he?
Who, Robert?
No, and the other.
Oh, yeah. That's just the creator of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, he's working on something else.
It's not like it's a. I've been very, very fortunate in my career to meet a lot of people and to do. You might have seen this guy this past weekend. No pun intended.
Oh yeah. Oh, where's he from?
I don't know, but he's not banded shut. So I've been very fortunate to meet those people and work with them and get to know them a little bit. And
speaking about, and I know you have this picture. I don't know if you have it easily accessible. Someone wants to see your picture with the great Chadwick Boseman, because I know you have a photo with him.
I was just gonna show that. Yeah. I have a couple of pictures, but this is Chadwick with Winston Duke, who plays M'Baku.
There you go. Oh wow.
So I'm not good at showing which way to go on the camera.
You're good. You're good.
But yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with, almost everybody in our industry. And then even some people who are not, like Channing Tatum, that's at 4 a.m. with him at the Today Show. It's like, if I died, if I don't work, not die tomorrow, I don't want to die tomorrow, just trust me. If I don't work, again, in this industry, which Lord God, I hope I do. I have stories that'll last until my great nephews and great nieces are having children of their own, because how many people could say, I've been standing on the helicarrier out in Albuquerque while they were filming, or I've gone to Tony Stark's, Tony Stark's lab and worked on the Hall of Armor and design costumes and stuff like that, or put them together. I mean, that's all to me it's freaking awesome. Or I taught Channing Tatum how to dance, you know, which I mean, who teaches Channing Tatum how to dance?
And you know, I think, I mean, obviously, I know with you, and I know it myself. Like, I think, you know, interacting with all these people, you know, it like you said, they're human beings, and like for me, I feel very honored to have had these connections with so many of these people, and I'm very humbled by it. You know, like yeah, it's cool showing these photos to people and stuff, but you know, it is a humbling. Like I remember I did an event back in May 2019, before the world, you know, who knew? And I remember we were just sitting there, my girlfriend and I, we were with a couple of other celebrities. We were watching Gilbert Gottfried on stage, and these other folks were, oh my God, have you ever watched that?
He's not appropriate on stage.
Oh my God. And I mean, like, and just a little bit about, and you know, like you see him like walking, he does like this, he's just like this little shuffle. And then he goes up on stage, and I don't know what got plugged in on him, but like the stuff, the energy and the stuff coming out of his mouth, my God. But we're sitting there, and one of the other folks is with us, and he's the most inappropriate jokes. He's like cracking the hell up. And like one of these other people who's with us, and I'm like, oh my, and she's a very well put together person. I'm not going to mention the names. And I'm just like, I don't even know how, I hope she's not offended by these jokes. And I'm just sitting there like saying, I look at my girlfriend, I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? First of all, because it's one of those surreal experiences.
But that's what you get. I mean, that's our industry, and not everybody can work in our industry and work with these celebrities or be exposed to them. I mean, look at all the. I mean, I worked with Stan Lee on and off since '96. You know, or my favorite celebrity to work with, who is just, if I were straight, which obviously I'm not, but if I were straight, I would marry. And I think her husband would be scared of that. Is Ming-Na Wen. And I love Ming-Na. She, you know, obviously the voice of Mulan, and then on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and formerly on ER. And she and I we have this rapport together, and I just adore her. And, you know, I'm lucky when you sit there and you go, you don't meet them once, you don't meet them twice. I meet them like 15 times, you know, they get to know you. Like Chris Evans, I've worked with them since Fantastic Four. I mean, like, you know, you get to know these people somewhat, but then you get to know them as people. You find out, and this is going back to what you're saying about how it's humbling. I went to a show, a Comic-Con, that was absolutely horrific. And it was in the middle of a snowstorm in Haddonfield, New Jersey, way down in the middle of what should not be New Jersey. And it was 2000, I think 14 or 13 or something like that. And my girlfriend, Sony, who is Sony Arlen, who's a pretty well-known cosplayer. And I was there with my buddy, Bill, who works for me, Bill Higa. And they're like, you need to go meet Manu. I'm like, what's Manu? They're like, Manu. I'm like, what's a Manu? Is it a bird? And they're like, no, Manu Bennett. And I'm like, why do I need to go meet Manu? And it was in a VFW hall, okay? It was bad. It was a bad show. And I went over to meet Manu, and I hadn't watched Spartacus, and I hadn't watched Arrow, and you know, so I didn't know who this person was. But they wanted me to get him for ACBC, which, as you know, he was there year one. And I went over and I met him. I got introduced, and he shook my hands, and the world melted away. We just really connected as friends. And we've been friends for quite a few years. We've kind of lost touch in the last 2 or 3 years. But he kept saying, he's like, well, are you going to, you know, it's snowing. I'm going back to my hotel in Philadelphia. Why don't you all come back and we'll hang out. We'll do dinner or something. And that was, I couldn't do it because I had a party to go to, and it was snowing, and I had a rear-wheel drive car, so I didn't want to drive in the snow. But we started this friendship, and it was sad because he had said to me, I'm just going back to my hotel room and that's it. Like, he's like, you sure you don't want to come back and we can all go to dinner or something? He's like, you guys are great. And he knew Sony and Bill from before. And I was like, I'd love to come back, because I know what it's like to go to a convention and then you leave the show floor. You have all that energy. You leave the show floor, you go back to your hotel room and you're like,
what do I do?
Service, Uber Eats. What do I do? I don't want to go to the bar by myself. I look like an idiot. You know, especially if you're a celebrity, then you're looking like you're looking for attention. And I felt bad. And I traveled around to a bunch of cons with him, and a couple of cons with him. And we hung out, and he's a wonderful, 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 wonderful man. But it's just indicative of what other celebrities have happening, or not even just the celebrities, but the convention people have happening is like, we have all this energy for 14 hours and then we're by ourselves and we're like, well, what do we do now? And that's kind of like what this year is like, what do we do now? So that's why, going back to what you said earlier, you asked me about celebrities doing the Zoom kind of thing. I get it, because they're not working right now and they're not doing shows either. So it's some way to keep interacting with people, and it's nice. And that's why I've been doing a lot of podcasts, is to try to interact with people. But yes, I go back to the pictures. I do show my pictures very often. I do show it to anybody who wants to see them. And even if you don't want to see them, I will show them. I will show my favorite picture ever of Chris Evans. I asked him to pose like the Hulk, and that's what he gave me. So, I mean, and here's just a bad picture of me, with Manu Bennett. So that's in like Louisville or something like that, some weird city. But I mean, I hope that, if anything, I hope that you got out of the podcast what you'd like to get out with me, and I hope that I was. Great.
I do have one question from somebody here too. He put it in here a couple of times, from Joe Ryan, and I mean, this is probably like a really good place to like lead towards the end here. He said
another hour if you want. We have nothing going on.
No, I mean, we're in no rush. But he's a student of the Kubert School. Done many shows, great and large and small. Freelancing, working with small publishers and sketch card companies. Working on Kickstarter. Done New York NYCC once at the Kubert School booth, but his ultimate dream is to work or at least visit San Diego. What's your advice for a new creator trying to break into a show as huge as San Diego? So for a smaller independent, what do you recommend?
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of advice. And I think this works for a lot of maybe your listeners out there who are interested in trying to break in. San Diego is impossible to get into. It's been reserved for years in advance as a 400-table waiting list. You're going to have a hard time breaking into it to try to get a table. Your best bet is to make friends with other people in Artist Alley and sit at their table and help split the costs and defer the costs. As we talked earlier, going to a convention and exhibiting, it's expensive. So you have to try to sell your stuff, and to offset that cost, somebody might say, share a table with me. It's very common. And I think that's great. But then you're just a face in a crowd, and don't sit like this. We've talked about that. The best thing to do is, if you're an artist, bring your best work you possibly can bring, photocopies of it, have professional business cards made up, staple to it with your contact information. And there are booths like mine at Marvel. We turn around and we accept, you'll see my staff there, we accept submissions on behalf of Marvel, and then we give them to the Marvel editors. I mean, CB Cebulski, and who heads everything up and has all their editors looking at it. And they only take photocopies, not originals. And they review them overnight, and then they'll pick 10 people or so to meet the next day, and you get 10 minutes with an editor to give you feedback. And there have been, over the 14 years or so that I've been working with them, I have seen quite a few people with submissions get hired and do books continually from there. Top Cow used to do it when I had them as a client. I don't know if they're still doing it. I think Boom does it. Aspen Comics does it. So the more you can get your face out there and your art out there and start to make those connections, that is the best way to try to break into the industry out there. There's a guy, Jonathan, and I can't pronounce his last name, but Jonathan, he just kept bringing his art every year. So it was amazing. Finally, he got selected to be seen, and he did books out of it, that's the way you're going to get noticed. Especially San Diego is a hard show to break into, because it's 250,000 people, I think, over the course of 5 days, and then another 200,000 out in the city, and everybody has their own agenda, and it's kind of hard. It's like being on a street corner in New York trying to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't speak English and has to go the other way from you. That's basically what I can equate it to. So the only way you can do it is point of differentiation, stand out, make yourself stand out, promote yourself, even go as far as wearing a shirt with your art on it or your branding on it, because that'll be really cool. Don't force your card or a flyer. Nobody wants a flyer. Don't give me a flyer. I don't want to see a flyer. I don't want to see a postcard. Nobody wants any of that. Business card, don't force it. Somebody might ask you for it. Have business cards ready for you, and have a link to your art, and make your art easily accessible. Don't have to be like, let me go find it on my phone. Have a folder with your art on an iPad or a tablet, not your phone. So if somebody wants to see it, they can see it if you're walking around. But that's the best way to break through. If you went to the Kubert School of Art, you're talented, you know, and if you've sat at the Kubert table, you're talented. So now it's just trying to break through and get somebody to realize that you're talented. So that's the best advice I can give you on that.
No, it's pretty solid. I mean, because then I imagine, like, even at being at the Marvel booth, like, I'm sure everybody wants to know, how do I get a job at Marvel? And it's like, okay, come, that's right. How do I get this with you next year?
Well, you know what? I mean, so I can't talk about how to get a job at Marvel. I can tell you how to get a job with our company, and we work the Marvel booth. If you show up and say, I want to work for you, yeah, it's not probably going to happen. Mm-hmm. But if you let me know, hey, if you ever need help, you know, I might keep you in the back of my mind. There's a kid who has now worked for us 3 times. And I call him a kid because I'm 48 and he's like 21 or 20, 19 maybe. I don't know. But he used to come with his dad to San Diego Comic-Con. And his name's Tyler. And he used to stand right up at the front. You know what it's like, right at the front when there's a signing, or right at the front during giveaway hour. And he was just very quiet, just like this. And his dad would talk to me, and I would try to engage the kid and smile, very polite. I hand him something, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And finally, his dad said to me, you know, he wants to know how to intern for you. I'm like, well, how old is he? He's like 16. I'm like, it's got to be a freshman or sophomore in college. He has to have a marketing background, communication background, or art background, and then talk to me about it. And I want to see his grades. I want to make sure that he's dedicated. Yeah. And they did. And the day he became a sophomore, he contacted me and said, I'm a sophomore. This is my major. Here are my grades. I'd like to work with you. And brought him on, and he's now done not just Comic-Cons, he's done other shows for us, not just Marvel. He's done other clients, Studio 71, which is a game company, and stuff like that. And Tyler's fantastic, and he doesn't ever say no, and he's always comes from a place of yes, and that's great. We've hired other people that haven't worked out, that I thought were going to be fantastic, and you know, maybe they made a crude comment or something, and I don't have room for that. Yeah. I hired one of my best friends, and he made a boo-boo, and I can't hire him again because I'm very particular, as is Disney and Marvel, on who we have work at that booth. But if you want to work with us, the best way to do it is not badger me. It's just to let me know, or let my staff know, or let Stacy know, and then we'll figure it out, because we look for clean-cut, wholesome, well-spoken. Multilingual is a bonus. Sign language is a bonus. Mm-hmm. If you are a fanboy or a fangirl, probably not going to happen. You should be a fan and have knowledge, but we don't want someone who's going, you know, like, oh my God, there's a celebrity on stage. We don't want that. You know, we need somebody who, I mean, we're all starstruck at this point, you know, but you got to be cool. I couldn't talk in front of one of our celebrities. Could not talk. We were in the back of behind our stage, we have a green room where they come in, and then they sit there and we prep them before they go on stage. And it was for Luke Cage. And we had a big cast. We had Mahershala Ali, Oscar winner, Mahershala Ali. Great, nice to meet you. We had, you know, Mike Coulter, who plays
super nice
Luke Cage. Friggin' big teddy bear, love him. Not interested. Bunch of other people. But we had Alfre Woodard there.
Oh, wow.
And I was at the head of the table, and she was sitting right next to me, and I was standing there trying to give everybody introductions on how we're going to go out, what we're going to do, what the fans are waiting for, and stuff like that. Get them excited and tell them the lay of the land. And Jeff Loeb, who was the head of Marvel TV for a long time, was sitting at the far end of the table, kind of like I'm Han and he's Darth Vader at the far end. And when I'm going around to read everyone's name, even if I know you, I read your name out loud to make sure I'm pronouncing it properly. And I got to Alfre, and I just got tongue-tied. And I turned bright red, and I started crying, and I had tears in my eyes. And Jeff goes, he stopped the whole table. He goes, I have never seen Mike in 13 years ever not be able to talk in front of a celebrity before. And I'm like, and she turned around, she goes, why me? And I go, you were in the movie Extremities. She's like, yes. And I go, I did that play to get into NYU, which I didn't end up going to, but as my audition for NYU, and I watched that movie 100 times, and I loved you in it every single moment. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, nope, I'm dead serious. I'm like, you are like a goddess to me. And when she was on stage, there's actually people in the audience, you know, we'll have the the cast come off stage and sign autographs for the disabled people who can't come on stage because we want them to have the same experience. Sure. She decided to stay on stage because she had heels on. She didn't want to walk down the steps. So she just sat there like this, talking to me about acting, asked me what I wanted to be as an actor. And I'm like, I'm 45 years old at this point. I'm like, I'm not an actor anymore. She just loved me. I loved her. And you get blown away sometimes.
You get a photo with her, I hope, right?
What?
You did get a photo with her, I hope.
Oh, I got a photo with
her. Okay, good.
Her, Jean Smart from Designing Women, Sigourney Weaver. I was blown away by all of these. I don't know what it is with me and women because I'm gay, but I definitely, okay, I think you can even see I'm a little bit red in the picture because I didn't know what to do. But Jeff Loeb calling me out on it was awesome. Awesome.
Well, I'm gonna add to your thing there, because that look of joy in your face. Two celebrities that I had that experience with: Nathan Fillion, who's awesome.
That man is not normal.
And Rosario Dawson.
Oh, I love Rosario. I love Rosario, but she stood me up for year 2 of ACBC.
I know. Well, because I remember myself, one of the people, because we were going to do a panel with her, me and Diana Lito. We were going
to host it.
Yeah, I remember. Her and I were so excited for that, and then we're like, oh, and then we're like, no.
Yeah, that was on WME because WME decided at the last minute she needed to be something else. Wait, where is it? Me and Nathan.
There you go. He's the best.
Red carpet.
He's the best. I love him.
That was, I think, red carpet for Thor or something like that. And then one of the problems we have also when you work with celebrities is you have to work with people that maybe you don't like. Or you see them be like a little, I won't name names who they are, but you just still have to be polite and professional, and this is our job. And you don't ask them for pictures.
Vibe,
but not you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I will say that for the most part, the celebrities are wonderful to meet at the shows. The artists and the writers, even better. I don't know if you know Gail Simone.
Yeah.
Gail Simone many years ago, and then she wrote me into Wonder Woman as a character during her arc, and I appeared in there on the cover a couple times, and I've become good friends with Gail. I love her dearly, and her husband dearly. Like I mentioned earlier, Mark Brooks, Adi Granov, Riley Brown, who, if you don't know Riley's freaking amazing. Frank Thierry, all these people that those are fantastic. And they're, to me, as big of celebrities as the celebrities are, legitimately, because I'm in awe of their talent. I'm in awe of their ability to write or to draw. I'm in awe of all of that. But I think the best part of doing the shows is getting to meet the other exhibitors and getting to become friends with them. Like Gina and her husband, who run Graffiti Tees. I love Gina, or Chris Roop, who runs Alex Ross, and even the people over at DC. Fletcher, who just left DC, and all the people over there. We're all friendly, and it's a family, and it's wonderful. Like seeing you, seeing your brother-in-law, it's all wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. What's the question? I just want to go up. Joe said, just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to give the solid and useful feedback on what it takes to get out there and get noticed. Very much appreciated. That's what I wanted to say. And again, I guess this is something you mentioned: the writers, you mentioned the artists, and certainly the celebrities. I think your Alfie Woodward story nails it on the head too. Yeah. Some of the best experiences I've had with celebrities, famous people, is when you talk to them about something that you're like, they look at you and be like, why the hell are you talking to me about that?
Oh, right.
Because I'll give you my story. Gates McFadden, who was Dr. Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation,
does not need an introduction.
No. So I was at an event, and she was sitting there. Of course, she has all these photos of Star Trek, right? And you could just tell she was just done with and whatever, right? All the Star Trek fans, So I go over there. I'm a big Henson fan, right? So if you ever saw the Muppets Take Manhattan,
oh yes, I know where you're going.
She's Dabney Coleman's secretary, but on her table she had a photo from the dance sequence in Labyrinth.
Oh.
And so anyways, Muppets Take Manhattan, she's listed as Cheryl McFadden. I mean, you got to be either a deep Star Trek or a deep Muppet fan to know that she's in there. And so I just was looking at her and I was chatting with her and I said, I didn't know. I said, I knew you were in Muppets Take Manhattan. I didn't know you were in Labyrinth. All of a sudden she perks up. She's like,
talk about it.
Well, and so I found out she choreographed that. She was a dancer. And and that's how she knew Jim was working on choreography. So that was the little bit in Muppets Take Manhattan was just like a cool little like friendly thing. But that was her big scene was in Labyrinth that she choreographed with him. I'm like, I had no idea. And then it made sense because there's an episode of Next Generation where she's tap dancing with Data and stuff. I'm like, there's that background, you know?
There you go. I mean, that's the thing that makes people want to talk to you as a celebrity and treat you like a human, and because you're treating them like a human and you're asking about their stuff. I mean, everybody wants to talk about themselves, first off. But, well, there's one person in the industry who doesn't like to talk about himself. And it's really funny. I think you might know him. He's an artist and a writer, Phil Jimenez. I don't know if you're familiar with Phil. Phil did Wonder Woman. That's how I know him. He drew Wonder Woman and wrote Wonder Woman for a very long time. He's done a tremendous amount of other things. He did the famous cover of Spider-Man with Obama. And right, so Phil's a great guy. You will never, ever, ever go to a convention, and when you see Phil, he will always say this to you. He will never let you down. When you go, hey, how's your show going? He's going to like, my show's going well. How's your show going? Mm-hmm. He wants to turn it around and ask you about you, and it's really smart to do that in this world because, like with Gates McFadden or with me with Alfred, you know, you turn around and you start talking to them about what interests them and what they want to talk about, not just, oh, I loved you in this or I loved you in that. Thank you. What else can they say? Thank you.
Yeah.
But if you start asking something about themselves and then they bring it out and she's telling you the story about being a dancer and a choreographer, that's the way you get that personal interaction with them. And I've been lucky. I've had that. Sigourney Weaver, we had her on stage. For the life of me, I can't remember what she was in. But
the Defenders.
What? The Defenders. Yeah. It's been a day. So we had her on stage for that, and I was talking with her while she was on stage.
Yeah.
And she had already gone down and signed for people, and she came back up, and she's like, "So, how's your show going?" And I went, "My show?" She's like, "Yeah, you're running around like a chicken without a head here." She goes, "You're making sure this thing runs." She's so calm, and she was like, "Just I'm hoping that you're taking a break and getting something to eat and drink." And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. She's like, you're not. She goes, I'm in awe of what you're doing. And I was like, okay. I'm impressed. Aliens loves me. So, it's good. Or, to me, it's, and wait, here's really funny. Do you watch Flash?
Yes.
Okay, so I stopped watching Flash for a while, but I don't know if she's still on there or not. Hannah Baker. So
yeah.
So she was the Killer Frost.
Yes.
So Danielle was at our show, ACBC,
yep.
And then I see her at all these shows, and I'm on a plane from New York Comic Con going cross country to LA to go do something with Stanley and a bunch of other people literally after New York Comic Con, and I have my baseball cap on and my glasses at the airport so that people don't recognize me because I do get recognized. Yeah. And I hear somebody going, well, are you sure there's not another seat for my boyfriend? Are you sure? And I'm like, she had her hat on and glasses, and I didn't know it was her. And they announced me, they're like, Mike D'Alessio, please come to the podium. And they're like, would you be willing to trade your seat so that she can sit next to her boyfriend? And they had a little dog. And I'm like, and I didn't recognize her at first. And I was like, no, I'm not giving my seat up. I just worked 6 days in a row. And then she takes her hat off and her glasses off. She goes, Michael, it's me. So she remembered me based on my voice, right? And was like, do you mind? I'm like, oh, for her, I'll sit and coach. I'm fine with that. And I didn't end up sitting in coach. I stayed in first class, but she was sweet as could be and kept the whole flight just leaning over the chair to talk to me and her boyfriend with the dog. And I was just like, I love people like you. I just think somebody like you who just realizes that's a nicety that I gave up my seat so you can sit next to your boyfriend, and now you're just going to chat with me the whole time. I love you. I'm like, you get somebody sweet like that. Like you get somebody who they just want to be liked, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
And she's a sweetie person.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Tonight, this has been like at a con tonight, and you know that's the thing. It's like for me, for all the people watching, you know, we don't get it because you really are working so hard when you do these events.
We do. My whole team does, and as does Marvel.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, okay. You can go look at that. My son's looking at.
No, show him.
What? Show him what? My son.
No, his son. He's adorable.
Look at this little guy. You want to come say hi to everybody watching? Oh, he's being shy.
He's not going to be shy. There he is.
Oh, he's being crazy eyes.
What were you just playing? Were you playing Lego Avengers?
There's for everybody.
Or Lego Spider-Man?
No.
Lego what?
Lego DC Supervillain.
Lego DC Supervillains. He's a big Harley Quinn fan.
Well, who will?
No.
He will.
And Harley and Poison Ivy. Harley and Poison Ivy.
And Joker.
And Joker.
And Deadpool.
And Deadpool's not DC.
Awesome, though.
Can you get me the Deadpool DVD for my birthday?
You cannot watch Deadpool yet. We
At
haven't.
least get me it, because that's who I made in Lego DC Supervillain.
All right.
I made Pennywise DC Supervillain.
He's very anxious. But you know, no, tonight this has been fantastic because we never get time to chat. And for everybody that's tuned in, like I hope you got some really cool advice about doing these cons. You got some behind the scenes information, you know, things that you can use. And I mean, certainly at all these cons, once we get started, you know, please go check out the
before the cons even.
Before reach out to Mike.
Find me on Facebook is the best way. I don't do Twitter and Instagram. I'm too old. But find me on Facebook, and I will send you a piece of jewelry for your contest.
Yes. Thank you.
When you're ready to do it, and I'll have one sent out from What's Your Passion Jewelry, which is comicbookjewelry.com. So comicbookjewelry.com, and we do some great jewelry there. It's all licensed stuff. And if you're a fan of Neopets, which is way after my generation, but our Neopet stuff is blowing up. People are buying it insanely right now. So yeah, but comicbookjewelry.com. So Ari and Avi own it. They're business partners of mine. So look, I'm hoping everybody enjoyed it. I hope you guys were regaled. And please, my offer is legit. If you need some information or advice, just reach out to me. Hit me up on Facebook.
Oh, cool. And again, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. This was really one of our best shows. You can say goodbye to everybody?
No, wait.
What are you going to say?
Show him the Marvel.
The Marvel figures? Which one? You want to show them one? Pick one out.
No,
We'll show them.
him
Show me a figure.
What? Which one? Pick. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite? You don't have a favorite? All right, I'll show them later.
Show them all.
Here, you know, since we talked about her, he wants me to show you one.
Show them all.
We're not going to look. I'm going to show my favorite since we mentioned her.
Oh.
There's Rosario. Rosario.
Real quick, who's your favorite Marvel superhero?
Who, mine or his?
Yours.
Mine? Oh, geez. I don't even know. Gosh.
Who's Caleb's?
Caleb, who's your favorite Marvel superhero?
Gamora.
Who?
Gamora.
Gamora.
Well, actually, She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. How do you know about She-Hulk? They haven't even made a movie of her.
I unlocked her from because she's one of the main characters in Lego Marvel too.
Oh, because she's in the Lego game. So She-Hulk.
This is the most I've ever heard Caleb talk out there.
What's that?
This is the most, I was saying to the audience, this is the most I've ever heard your son talk. Because normally he's a little shy with me.
It's late too. It's energy.
Oh my God, it's 10:12. I got to eat dinner. And
All right.
I got to go install light switches. But lovely to see you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And Mike, thank you so much for this. We'll see everybody next week. We got a great show on. Follow us, like us, go to Comic Book Jewelry, go to Promo 360 Group, and reach out to Mike if you need him. And we'll see everybody next week on IncrediChat. I'll just hold on for you for a second then, Mike, after we end. And have a good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
But I want to tell you something.